So last week we talked about paraphrasing. Can someone help me out here? Paraphrasing, what does that mean? It's not paragraphing, although it sounds very similar. Some of you made that mistake or were confused with that last week or earlier this week. We talked about paraphrasing, and we also talked about how this is important or why this is important with our report writing. So help me out here, Graham. What is paraphrasing?
When you take a non-fiction text and make it you change it to your voice.
Okay. You change it to your voice. I think what he's trying to say is, or what he means is, you reword it.
Yeah.
Owen Fitz, I need you right here, please. Thank you very much. What he's trying to say, or what he did say was, you are, thank you, Owen, you are taking something that you read or something you hear and you're rewording it. You're putting it into your own words. Why is that important with our main studies report? Why is that something that I really need to make sure you understand, Cal?
So when you get older, you know that not to do that, so you don't get in a lot of trouble.
In trouble how?
Because paraphrase, if you paraphrase something, you're going to jail.
No, okay. We're going to paraphrase so that we don't go to jail. Not that you're going to go to jail. But what you're not supposed to do is plagiarize. That is when you take something from text and you use it word for word. You need to reword it so that you're not plagiarizing. That's called paraphrasing. Just make sure you have an ed tech to take you over, okay? Hope you feel better, kids. That's why we paraphrase. And when we're doing our main studies report, I cannot have you copying word for word from your sources. You need to take that information, think about what it means, and reword it. That's what we're going to practice today. And we're doing Jaden another huge favor because we're going to practice a little bit paraphrasing, rewording, using some information that he's going to have to put in his report. So, today's learning target, students will not, yes, students will, I didn't write it. Students will explain what they read and then teach it to someone else. Does that sound exciting?
No.
Students will explain what they read to someone else. A lot of turning and talking today, so be prepared. That's our learning target. You're going to read something or listening to something read. You're going to think about what the author is trying to say, and then you are going to explain it to a partner. Not word for word, because you are going to paraphrase. So, I have for you samples. Please take those.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. The top paragraph is the one I am going to use. Pass those over, please. The top paragraph is the one I'm going to use, and the ones that are marked guided, those are the ones we're going to do as a group. Please share those. Do we have enough? Everybody have one? You should have it right in front of you. Can you pass that back to Riley just so she has it? Just set it on the desk beside her. Let it go. Thank you, Jordan. All right, so I'm doing my report. Pretend I'm Gene. I'm a little bit larger, but it'll work. I'm doing my report on the history of the Maine turkey. Change over time, turkey population. How has the Maine turkey's population changed from the time that they were reintroduced to Maine to today? So I have in front of me a brief history of Maine's wild turkey restoration. I'm going to read the first paragraph to myself, but out loud so you can hear me. And then I'm going to think about what it means, and then I'm going to explain it to you in different words. I'm going to think about the author's message, and then I'm going to explain it back to you in my own words. Hold that thought, kids. Read along with me, please, or follow along. Historically in Maine, wild turkeys, don't panic, Riley, I'm just closing the door. Wild turkeys appeared in significant numbers. Well, first I'm going to stop and think to myself, do I know what significant means? Because if I don't, then this probably is not going to make a lot of sense to me. But I know significant means a large number, a pretty decent number of turkeys. Significant numbers in York, Cumberland, and Oxford counties, and perhaps in reduced numbers eastward to Hancock County. So I have some background knowledge about Maine. So I'm going to use my background knowledge here to help me think about the author's message. He's telling me that wild turkeys appeared significantly in York, Cumberland, and Oxford counties. York, way down here, you can't see it, but it's southern Maine. Cumberland, right next to it. It's hard for you to see because it's down here. And then Oxford, right here. So that's southern. So what the author's message here is that turkeys primarily were in southern and western Maine. So I'm talking myself through this. This is my inner voice saying, oh, I see what he means. He's listing the counties that were south and westerly. That's where turkeys used to be in Maine. Reductions in the amount of forest land due to intense land clearing for farming and unrestricted shooting were probably the two most important factors leading to the extirpation. We talked about that word. That means the demise of, or the decline in the number of turkeys. Yes. Of native wild turkeys in Maine in the 1800s. So now I'm going to stop. I might back up because there was a lot of information there. Reduction in the amount of forest land. So that means that the author's telling me that the number of trees, the number of forested areas was reduced. So if we're taking away trees, that means there must be a lot more open land, like fields, and maybe probably agricultural land. The reversion, or the going back of thousands of acres of farmland back to wooded habitat and present-day agricultural practices have enhanced prospects for reestablishing wild turkeys. That's the author telling me that today, because all of those cleared lands have grown back to forest and there's a lot more trees, that this area or Maine is more suitable or better equipped for turkeys. It's a better environment for turkeys now than it was. So if I had to take this in a nutshell, or if I had to take this and reword it so that I was not plagiarizing, right? So that I am thinking about the author's message and I'm teaching that to you, I would tell you that in the 1800s, we had lots of turkeys in the southern and southwestern part of Maine. The author didn't say that. I'm saying that, but it's the same message. I'm also going to tell you that because people just were able to shoot turkeys anytime they wanted and as many as they wanted, and because a lot of forest land was cleared, Maine became unsuitable for turkeys. They didn't say that here. I said that, but that's the same message. And then I'm also going to tell you, because of present-day practices and laws that protect turkeys, Maine has become a suitable place for turkeys to live and thrive, and that's why they are successful with, or were successful with their turkey restoration. I have just read that paragraph, thought about what it meant, so that I could teach it to you without plagiarizing, or without using the same words that they used. Everybody okay with that? Yeah? All right. We're going to try it together. We're going to read a quick paragraph, and then I want you to turn to a neighbor, after we think about it for a few minutes. I want you to turn to a neighbor and explain to them what you just read, without paraphrasing, okay? Let me read it, you follow along. It's the third paragraph down, it's the first one that's marked guided on the side. Kaylee, you ready? In Maine, we have had the benefit of work done by biologists in other states to reestablish wild turkeys into former and new ranges of suitable habitat. Researchers in these states discovered the key to each success was to remove a small number of wild birds from one site and release them as soon as possible into suitable unoccupied habitat. Are there any vocabulary words in there that you would like help with? Yes, Caitlin? I'm looking for it. Researchers, reestablish. If you establish something, right, that means you create it or start it. Well, we already had turkeys in Maine, or we had turkeys in Maine at one point, so that means we're not establishing turkeys, we're reestablishing. Because they were already here once, and then they became extirpated, and now we're bringing them back. So we're which means to do again, re-establish. Okay? Anybody else? Oh.
It's the one that I spell it.
Sure.
It's AGRICULTURAL.
Oh, you're still in the top paragraph? No, we're doing the third paragraph down. I'll read it one more time. You guys follow along. In Maine, we have had the benefit of work done by biologists in other states to reestablish wild turkeys into former, which means areas that were once populated with turkeys, former and new ranges of suitable habitat. Researchers in these states discovered the key to each success was to remove a small number of wild birds from one site and release them as soon as possible into suitable, unoccupied habitat. Okay, I want you to actually count off for me to twos, please. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
1,
Kaylee, you gotta look at me. Owen.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2,
1.
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1.
Okay, come up here, Jay. The rest of you, I want you to group up 1, 2s, 1, 2s. You have to group up with somebody that's not the same number as you. Quickly, please. And I want the ones to explain this to the twos, please. Then you have Jane, what do you? Anybody not have a partner? Back there. Back there. You're a 1 now. You're the 2. And you're 1. Ones are sharing. This paragraph we just read, please explain that to the 2. If you're a 1, you're explaining it to a 2. This is your reporting. This is material you're working. So tell me what we just read in your own words.
Dad, do I change it to like different groups or just on you?
Just keep going. What about that? Yes.
So we're reading this,
Now in this
how it says it, and then
we talk about the key to the key to biologists being successful in reestablishing surfaces. We'll talk about that in what was the key? They said researchers in
like a
these
lightning
states discovered the key to each success was to remove a small number of wild birds from one site and release them as soon as possible into suitable unoccupied habitat.
I thought it was supposed to be a 2.
It's 14.
You know what suitable and unoccupied means? Suitable means this is good habitat for turkeys. And unoccupied
Gosh,
means
you're supposed to
there's no
share.
other.
Don't pay attention to me. Pretend I'm over there.
No, unoccupied.
It'd be a national television.
Means
Supposed to share out.
I did. You can see the back.
We can see
see Jordan's hair. You're blocking Mr. Robinson. Kind
You know,
of.
it needs to be a very safe.
You're like at his knees.